Episode number 58. Before we get started, I just want to share that I'm making a commitment to putting out a ton of content on IG, Instagram. Take a look when you get a chance. Visit us over at Govcon Giant. We also have a group that I started on LinkedIn, and I want to share curated content that I've gathered from a host of expert professionals all around the government contracting space. Now on to today's episode. Ronnette Meyers, founder of JLAN Solutions, story mirrors that of so many entrepreneurs out there who got their first start working with their parents. But unlike those whose severed ties grew apart or could no longer work together, her and her mom decided to hatch out a plan to not only increase their net worth, but build generational wealth and capitalize on a skill set that they had both acquired over the previous decade. While growing out her mom's multi-million-dollar firm, JMA Solutions, mom and daughter got together and said, how can we grow bigger, do more, help others, and greater numbers? And the solution that they devised? Separate into two different organizations. Today, Ronnette and JLAN is off to the races and has made a name for themselves, winning the DC Chamber of Commerce 2020 Women in Business and Washington Business Journal 2020 Minority Business Leader honoree. Today's episode highlights her upbringing with a single mom, the opportunities afforded to their family via the military, growing up in Germany, building her mom's businesses, launching JLAN, and investing in hotels, Broadway shows, condos, and much more. The great thing about this episode is that on the day that we recorded it, Jan Adams, her mom, they are even closer than ever. They were in fact doing an IG Live, sharing some wisdom, tidbits, and experiences over the past 2 decades of working in federal contracts. Let's welcome our next giant, Ronnette Meyers. I looked you up. I saw some of the things you're doing, and just like everyone else, I believe you have a story to tell, and I think it's great. I love women-owned businesses. I do, and then a minority women-owned business,
Yes.
and what we're going through right now. I mean, we did not plan this, but
No,
I
we
don't
did
think I
not.
don't think it could have happened at a better time.
Exactly. Exactly. It's funny. I've actually been on this weight loss journey as well, in addition to working,
Nice.
so or building my business. But I've been on a journey for a year and a half to lose my goal was to lose 100 pounds. It
Okay.
started at 50 and now it's at 100. I'm at 75 pounds down.
Wow.
And so I work out with a group of ladies, and we were out walking this morning. And we were talking about a vacant building that's in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. She
Okay.
lives in Upper Marlboro. And she said, we could have so many programs for our young Black Americans, our youth, so many programs there. We can teach young men how to tie a tie and young ladies to be young ladies. And, we can talk about the CARES Act and teach our community on what's happening. We can use this building, and capitalize on this platform that we're in right now, or this season that we're in right now.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, my vision is on my next phase is to open up a youth center in Youngstown, Ohio, is where I'm from. So the students there, they have nothing after school. They have nowhere to go but to be out on the streets selling drugs or prostitution or, just up to no good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my give back that I actually want to do. And so I told her, I said, why don't you just start a nonprofit and I'll be on your board and I'll help you, because we both have a passion to do something to help our community. But it's just interesting that, we were talking about this, but that's what our story was this morning, and what our conversation was about, helping the community here where we live, in the DMV area, and just really try to help these young students, because they don't have a direction. We need to give them direction, especially in the plight that we're in with George Floyd, and all of this that's happening in our Black Lives Matter. These kids need some guidance. They need something to do after school. They need to get off of Fortnite and Minecraft and all of those other things that they play,
Right.
but give them some structure. And, that's what I want to do. And that's what she wants to do as well. So.
Wow, that's great. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have one of my students, they have a nonprofit in DC and have a vacant building that they were looking at what to do with. And I suggested they do like a tech hub
Mm-hmm.
for the youth, where they start training them on like Microsoft current training, Amazon training, like things like that, the skills that they're going to need, to actually be applicable for what's going on in 2025, right? 2026, software development, things like that. We can have, and so I'm helping them. I've taken some of my guests, like I had a former technical information manager from NASA who lives in the DC area that was on my show. And he's going to be working with them to help give them tips on how to structure it and set them up. I have another student who wrote some technology training for another nonprofit out of New York, and they built out their whole curriculum. And now that nonprofit is training thousands of youth, particularly minorities, around the country on these certifications that the companies want. And they're wanting kids with those certifications to come in and do software and coding. And so those are like, $80,000 a year plus jobs working at the big, software companies, Facebook, Google, Amazon, and I've seen it done. And I said, look, you guys got this building, you have a great opportunity. And then of course the traditional people are like, oh, let's just make it into a duplex or whatever, a fourplex. And I go, no. You're in an opportunity zone. You're in a hub zone and you're in DC. I go, they don't need no more rentals. You're not a developer unless you could tear it down and build 10 stories. No.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you could do a much better service to the community and the people around and they go, well, we don't know anything about a tech. I said, don't worry. There's enough people around that I'm sure want to help that you can do it. And likewise, myself, I'm in South Florida, and I want to do my own, not incubator. I want to do more of innovation labs facility. I'm an engineer, so I come from the technology world, even though I haven't technically practiced it, but I do love it. I enjoy it. In college, I did have a software company. I raised money for it. And so it was a fascinating journey. And I think that putting some people with skills together with people that have some resources. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs like yourself, but here in my area that they're looking for ways to innovate their businesses. So you may have, you have an established business already, and they're like, Eric, I've been doing this business for 20 years and it's making money and I'm happy, but how do I take it to the next level? I think I need some youth to come in and help me innovate, right? And that's what they do. And funny enough, I don't think enough of people study entrepreneurship. I study, like I make it a practice and a habit. And all the companies that we admire and respect, or the biggest companies, let's say the biggest tech companies, Amazon, Facebook, Google, they buy up technologies from youth.
Yes.
Okay, Ronnette, they're not inventing this. They are buying that technology from some young person. So if you can get them in there working with you, you could do the same thing. You can have the same kind of capacity and power. All they do is buy up the new stuff.
Absolutely.
I read about TikTok before it became TikTok.
Yes.
And then they get gobbled up.
Love it.
They love it.
They love it.
They love it, right? They love it. I have a 11-year-old sitting right behind me, and that's all they do is TikTok.
That's all they do. And I've actually done 2 of them. I don't know if you've done any.
I've done 3. But what does that tell you about the power of it, of what it's created and what it's done to our society? And again, where did it come from, right? What's its origins? Right. So for me, I'm like, I already understand this. And even in talking with some of my other podcast guests, they said talent management at companies, especially the larger companies, is they have a very poor use of talented people. So even if you look at Booz Allen Hamilton and some of those guys, you're a number.
Right.
You're a number.
Right.
So they have all of this talent pool at their disposal, and all they're doing is, running government programs, but they're not developing the talent pool.
Right.
And these people could be so much greater and do so much more. And I think that's why they lose a lot of people, right? And I've had several of my guests that come out of those large firms like GDIT and stuff like that, because why? You're not using my talent for anything other than to build a government.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's interesting that you should say that, because generally when we conduct interviews, I'm generally in on all of them. I always ask them, what's your passion? How can we leverage your passion of what you're doing maybe outside of the office and bring it in and help innovate JLAN solutions? But also I ask them too, in addition to supporting the government, because the majority of our folks do support them, we're going to use your talents here, whether it's marketing or business development or helping with proposals, or we also do a lot in the community, but it's not required, but it's requested that you actually go out and help some of these students when we're doing our outreach program. So, we help with the DC Adopt to School program. So we help students with homework or high school entrance exams or whatever it is that they need, and help with teacher appreciation. Whatever they need, we're there to help. So I always ask them in the interview or tell them this is what we do, and we'd love for you to come and join us and do that, to do our community outreach. And we also give out scholarships to students who are at that BC level that need that extra push to go to college, because generally all the 4.0 students, they're going to get some sort of scholarships anyway.
Right.
So we want to help the students who need that extra push to get them over that edge, or maybe they're, the first year that they're going to college, the first student in their family or a child in their families to go to college. So those are the students that we like to help. I was a BC student until I went to college, and straight A, but at any rate.
Oh, look at you. That's good. That's good. I was not straight A, but okay. You probably remember your SAT score.
No, I don't remember.
Okay, all right, because normally the straight A kids like, I had a something 1800 SAT score.
No, not in high school. Let me tell you, in high school I was a BC student.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, all right. High school BC, and then you just jumped to straight A in college.
Yes, I had to go.
Okay, all right. I what was I? I think I was a BC student? No, I think it was more AB. But I started taking less AP classes, and I focused more on working. And I did what do you call that track where you do like work half the day and then go to school half the day? I did more of that.
Okay. So when I grew up, we didn't have that, right? So I was telling this young lady today that we only had to have 18 credits when I graduated from high school. And we had, I think we did have like a work study where you had too many credits, so you only had to go half a day your senior year, and then you can go to work.
Right. But, your senior year. That's what I did. Yeah.
But I grew up in Germany. I didn't grow up in the United States.
I read that. So
it was different for us over there than it was for you all here.
That's probably why you were an A student in college. Is the Germany curriculum harder?
So no, we went to a DoD school, Department of Defense schools.
Oh,
yeah. So it was.
Tell us about that.
But I mean, we still had some local nationals there at our school, but the majority of us were American. So
okay, so you grew up in Germany on a base. Okay, so you come from a military family.
My mom was in the Air Force. She's a single parent, raising 2 children. Yes. I grew up at Ramstein Air Base. My mom was a single parent of 2 children. And we stayed over there for 7 years, growing up over there. It was great.
What age of that? What age was that? You were 7 years. Was it high school? Was it early on?
I went in the 6th grade.
Okay.
And then I graduated from high school.
And then you went to college. Where'd you go to college?
So initially, I went to The Ohio State University.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Initially,
I like it.
And then I left there. And my mom was stationed in Washington, D.C. And so I came to D.C. I went to a few different schools. So it took me a long time to actually finish school. So I ended up marrying my husband at a young age. And I had already had a child. And I lived in Bahrain for 3 years. And then we went to San Diego. And then we ended up in Sunnyvale, California. And from there, I was working for the Federal Aviation Administration. And they had this program called an Upward Mobility program where they send you to college and they train you to leave the administrative side of the house and become a technician. So I went to the College of San Mateo, and it's in San Mateo, California, and I actually received my associate's degree from there in electronics technology. And then I went to work at the San Jose Air Traffic Control Tower. And so I worked there. There were very few women in this field, and I was the only Black female in the tower. So I worked with all the air traffic controllers. I actually worked on all the systems that they touched. So all their radios, all their radars, all the antennas, whatever they touched, I actually was a technician working on it. So I actually climbed towers, changed antennas. I had mountains.
I was going to ask, you said technician, you climbed the towers.
I climbed the towers.
Get out of here. Wow.
I did. The 60-foot tower, that was my breaking point right there.
I was going to say, let me tell you, I built a flight training simulator building that was 60 feet tall. And I remember I was on a machine. I wasn't climbing nothing. I was on a machine going out to it, but I had to go over like a ravine. So we were stretched out far from the building and had to look. That was enough. I have to touch the building. For me, when I'm going up, I'm like literally touching the wall. I don't know why. It just gives me a sense of comfort to touch the wall as I go up. But
yes. So that's what I did. I actually climbed those towers and changed those antennas and worked, like I said, on all the radios. I spent a couple years in Oklahoma City. So I had to go to school for 2 years pretty much, but it was maybe 10 weeks at a time, 2 weeks at a time, 3 weeks, depending on what the school was for. So yeah, I did that. And then one day my mom called me and she said, I'm starting a business and I need you to quit your good government job and come help me. And
nice.
I was like, okay, I'm climbing this tower right now. Okay, you want me to quit?
Okay. Why did your mom decide to start a business?
So my mom, she spent 24 years in the Air Force. And we traveled, like I said, all over. And she wasn't about to retire. She was just still working. And a former colonel that she used to work for in Germany reached out to her and said he had a position as a government contractor supporting the FAA. And he needed someone of her expertise to come help run this program.
Okay.
And so she said, well, where is it and how much does it pay? And eventually she came to DC and started working for this company.
Okay.
And then she just built trust with all of her customers, and her customers said, you're a minority female service disabled vet. Why don't you start your own business? And so we can stop paying the middleman and pay you directly. And hence she started her business. So.
Well, it made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And then when she, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so when she eventually, started it and did all her paperwork and everything, and then she asked me to help her with her infrastructure. So I was in the background in my basement during my off time or whatever weekends, and so I built out her human resource policy. I managed her contracts. I did her payroll and managed her lines of credit. And so I was her background office until I came on board.
Was she able to get lines of credit in the beginning?
So at the very beginning, I actually applied for loans to help her ensure that she could meet her payroll or whatever. That's awesome. And she did as well. So that's how we established our capital.
Because they didn't give not one person enough to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And then so one day she called me and she said she was walking through the halls and she ran into a young lady. Actually, because I used to work in DC, so I worked at FAA headquarters.
Okay.
I was a contractor there, and she said, "Hey, I've got this new organization. I really need Ronnette to come and help me build out this organization." And so she says, well, I have my own business, so you have to give me a contract to get her back. Well, she gave her a $4.5 million contract. So I moved back to DC. But I had to, but I left my family in California. I left my husband and my girls in California, and I commuted back and forth until we were able to secure a position for my husband, or till he found a job, because he used to work for the VA actually. And then once we found a job for him, then we brought everybody back. So I did it for a year beforehand.
I like your mama. Your mama don't play. She said, look, I got my own business. So you want her, you got to give me a contract. I love that.
So that's how we got back to DC.
Okay. And then that company brought you on to help them.
So I started working for my mom full time as a W-2 employee after I left the FAA. And pretty much I worked my way up to be her senior vice president of corporate services. So not only did I do business development, I managed her HR department, and I was pretty much acting as a COO for her company. And eventually we sat down and we just started talking, and we were saying, well, we need to start thinking about generational wealth. We need to start thinking about our children, grandchildren, and how we can secure, like I said, generational wealth for them as well. And, we just started strategizing. And eventually we decided, well, she helped me in the decision to start JLAN Solutions.
Did she?
She did. Wonderful. She did. She said, you already know how to build a business because you've been doing it for me for, these few years since she's been in business. So you already know what you need to do. And so then I started JLAN, but I started in 2010, but I really didn't do a lot. I just had the business, right? So, and I named it after my 4 children, Jamie, Lene, Asia, and Nia. Right, so their initials, because I wanted to instill entrepreneurship in them. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. She had her own beauty salon on the front porch of her house. So all the ladies from the neighborhood would come and get their hair done from my grandma. And then my mom is an entrepreneur, and then myself. So it's already in me.
Yes.
So it was just like, okay, just step out on faith and go ahead and do it. So I just started subcontracting under her just so that I can get some past performance.
Okay.
But I still wasn't really marketing the business,
right?
Doing anything, because I helped her grow her business. So that was where my heart was. I was like, oh, JMA Solutions, what I do. And so I had to really shift my focus. So I attended the SBA Emerging Leaders Program.
I know it.
And that helped me start building relationships. People in my same space who knew me as JLAN, they didn't know me as JMA, right? So I had to shift the focus on who I was and what business I was marketing versus her business. And then I got into the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, and that just opened up everything.
Did it really? You're the second person that said that.
Oh my goodness.
I actually turned down that program.
Well,
I didn't know any better. Right? It's like, okay, here's another program. It's like, okay, I actually declined to go to that program.
It was phenomenal for me because I have a technology degree, right, in background, right? So I've been a technician, I've been admin, I've managed a lot of programs, but I didn't necessarily have all the business courses and education that I really needed, right? Mm-hmm. So the first week of the Goldman Sachs program, and mind you, it's free. Yeah. They paid for everything.
Right. No.
Except, my time. I had to just devote the time. There's a 14-week, I call it an accelerated master's program because that's exactly what it was.
Right.
So the first week was all about doing a deep dive in your finances, right? So I have a CPA. She does my payroll. She does everything, right? Taxes, company taxes, everything. But they said, well, you need to know where your money's going. You need to know how your money's being spent. You need to know, right? So they did a deep dive into our finances, and I learned so much that I didn't know.
Mm.
And then it was about marketing and, getting your name out there. It was just a great program week by week. And then we spent a week up at Babson, 2 weeks up at Babson College in Boston. Phenomenal.
Yeah,
It was
no,
phenomenal.
that's wonderful.
But, I came out of there with three things. One was marketing, right? I had to hire a marketing manager to help get our name out there. I had to hire a COO because my third thing is stop working in your business and start working on your business,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I hired a COO to run my day-to-day operations so that I can start going out and doing business development and building these relationships and bringing opportunities into the business. But those were my three takeaways from there. But since 2000,
Hold on. The marketing,
stop working in my business and
right?
work on my business and
Okay.
hire a COO to do the day-to-day operations.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yes, and I actually added in a chief strategy officer to help us see the way forward. So those are kind of four things.
But how does one who's getting started be able to hire a COO?
Well, so I had already been in business for 7 years, right? But
Okay. Fair
so
enough.
I still had employees, so I still had revenue coming in. But to get started like that, you can't unless you have some revenue.
Right. Okay.
So so those four things in 2017, our business has grown. As my CPA says, you've grown almost 100% since then, or a little bit more.
So the program is really working for you.
Yes.
Nice. I see her smile.
Well, I always smile, but yes.
That would touch the ears. That was good. Okay. No, it's interesting. Have you ever heard of Entrepreneurs Organization, EO?
No.
See, EO is big. I look up Entrepreneurs Organization, and Entrepreneurs Organization is for founder-built and founder-led companies.
Oh.
And you have to do it. You have to be doing at least $1 million a year to be eligible. They have a DC chapter, but they're an international organization, and I was a part of that organization, and that's where I learned a lot of those things that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And what they do is you get together monthly and you have accountability meetings, and we talk about our goals and our plans and our strategies, and then your accountability partners hold you to it, right? So they say, hey, Ronnette, the last time we met, you said you're going to be, right? Or like, for example, the conversation with your friends this morning about doing the nonprofit. Okay. Mm-hmm. Next month, you'd be like, now, did we talk about this nonprofit? I have it right here, and then also things that we look at and we talk about is how are you personally, professionally, how's your family, right? You rank yourselves in those things 1 to 10, because again, if you're suffering in one area, right, then the other area can't be at its best. And so we talk about that stuff. But the biggest thing is being together with entrepreneurs that similar to what I talked about the show, maybe you come from different type of industries, different type of experiences, but you have employees, you've got teams, you're trying to build businesses, and we talk about what worked for me, and then you get ideas from that. And I mean, I'm telling you, just the mindset of other types of business owners, and again, you're in government space, right? So I'm sure you know a lot of people in the government space, but like, do you know somebody that maybe does software for Facebook, right? Or, that person would change the way that you see things, which to me would help you go further in terms of creating your generational wealth, because they're going to give you some new ideas and concepts that you maybe didn't hear before. And I can tell you this, being on my show, being on the podcast, being on YouTube, has afforded me the opportunity to pick and choose, right? Ideas I want to work with, people I want to work with, things I want to solve, solutions. They come to me flowing like a river. Can you imagine given your combined resources with you and other government contracting friends, if someone would come to you and say, hey, Ronnette, I got this brand new technology. You want to help me get it to the government? It's for the FAA. You're like, I could walk you in the door. Right?
Yes.
These people, because of my putting myself out there for the last 3 years, come to me every day. They come to me. And but being in that type of group and that type of environment, that's one of the reasons why I didn't do the Goldman Sachs, because I had something similar. I was in also the Accelerator Program, where the Accelerator is more like the Goldman Sachs, where you do the training and they bring in speakers monthly that are the best. Okay. And then they train you on all those things. Right. And I mean, I still have like my curriculums from that where we talk about those 4 areas. But I mean, we look at, I mean, they take you through, and that one, again, you're way beyond that. But for a lot of people starting off, if you're at the $250,000 level, the goal is to get you up past $1 million in sustained revenues. Okay, and then in Miami, we have some more. We have our because where you have so many people, the criteria is more selective. But there are chapters that they. You also have to be like an outstanding person. So for example, you can't be in, like, they might not take you if you're in like marijuana industry or something like that. You get me? Like there's, and if anyone in the organization says they had like a bad dealing with you. So let's say you didn't pay someone, something like that. That's also you can't get it. So I mean, it's good because it keeps, like, you have to have like unanimous approval to get in. Which is, I mean, it means that, well, and again, I didn't set the standards. This is what they said. But having that, I think, I would encourage you to look into it.
I will. Because
it's a different type of network. You're not selling to each other. You're not soliciting each other. But you have another family that you can talk to that understands the craziness of being an entrepreneur. Okay, you can't talk to your employees. You probably can't even talk to your husband because they don't understand it.
I don't understand it.
and that's how we talk to each other, right? We go, I don't have nobody to talk to about this stuff, because no one understands. They don't know what it's like, right? I mean, for example, what happens, Ronnette, when you have a transgender employee?
Exactly.
Okay, how do you handle that? How do you handle the bathrooms in your office? So, I mean, it seems trivial, but it's not trivial.
Right.
It's very important. It's very necessary for your long-term viability and success for the business. And hearing a story from someone who has 200 employees or 2,000 employees telling how they addressed it and what worked, you go, okay, I could implement something like a similar policy in my office or with my team. Does that make sense? And again, when I listen to people, I'm hearing them talk. That's why I like the conversation that just flow, because then we can suggest things and ideas and it kind of come together. But it's a healthy group of people. Some of my darkest moments, they help get me out of it. And like I said, because my family didn't understand, and and only thing people really see is revenue numbers.
Right.
And then they judge you based on revenues.
Right.
Is that fair?
Absolutely. And you brought up some great points too, because we really need to shift our focus and ensure that everybody's inclusive, right?
Right.
So I like that. That's good.
Yeah. No worries. So tell me, okay, now you start your business, you're up and running. Tell me about this weight loss journey. Let's change that. What happened? What made you make that switch?
So I've been overweight my entire life, and I have traced it back to the 4th grade. But in high school, I remember the guys used to tease me all the time, and but whatever. I've grown past that. But in my adult life and being in business, like I said, I've always been overweight. But one day I was walking up the stairs and my knees buckled and I pretty much fell down the stairs, right?
Mm.
So I went to the doctor and she says, oh, you're pretty much bone on bone or cartilage on cartilage, and you need to have knee injections. And so I started receiving gel shots in my knees, 5 gel shots a time in a 5-week period, twice a year. It was horrible. It hurt so bad.
Wow.
So I found a personal trainer and I started working out. And so my goal was to lose 50 by 50 before I turned 50 years old. I was to lose 50 pounds. On my 50th birthday, I lost exactly 50 pounds.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
But
actually, I'm imagining that's difficult to do at 49 years old.
oh, absolutely.
I mean, you know, I imagine that's difficult to do at 49 years old.
But I had to control my eating. I had to reduce the sugar intake and just really exercise. And so I did that with my trainer, and it just grew to a family of women who I end up working out with. And so when I reached the 50 pounds, I said, well, why can't I go for another 50? And so now I'm on this journey to lose the additional. So I've lost 25 more. So I have 25 more to go, and then I'll be content. But I know I'm not going to stop. And every time I talk to my friends, all I talk about is my weight loss. They're like, do you have anything else to talk about? I was like, well,
that's my focus right now in my life. That's my.
And when I look at my before and after pictures, I said, well, how come nobody said anything to me? My family, right?
Right.
My mom says, she says, I've been trying to tell you, you just don't want to hear me.
Wow. What was the biggest thing that you cut out? I mean, listen, I know it seems like we're off track, but I think that this is important because, again, your health is your wealth.
Absolutely. But sugar was the biggest thing.
But sugar, sugar's in everything. Like, what did you cut out?
Cookies.
Look at your face, like cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies. But in bread, bread was like huge because I love bread with every meal. But those were like the 2 major things. And in snacking, I used to eat a lot of snacks. I don't even buy it anymore. My kids, though, since we've been in COVID, or since we've been home, my husband went shopping and bought all this junk food and cookies and cakes and stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm on a mission here, right?
Right.
But they put it out there, and I'm just like, okay, I just have to say no.
Okay.
So, and then I just did a 10-day green smoothie cleanse with my daughter, my oldest daughter. I've lost 16 pounds on that. So, but I have to maintain that, right? So that's my goal here.
No, I am. And how far do you walk in the mornings?
3 to 4 miles.
Okay.
And generally we run, but we've been walking here lately because in my smoothies, I did not put protein powder in my smoothie. So my energy level is a little bit lower. So we started walking versus running, but normally we run.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I'm not a fast runner. I'm a slow runner.
No, but that's okay. Running is running. Look, I get up and I do my morning walks in the morning. I used to run, but for me, walking, and again, I've always worked out. I've always been exercise, but my weight goes up and down. But I've always worked out. But like when the gym's open, I get up and run. But for me, I walk for clarity in my brain. It allows me to think. Running gives people clarity, but for me, it doesn't. I guess maybe because of the pain and your feet hitting the ground. like I'd be like, I can't think straight. So for me, to open up my mind, and also to feel like did you ever see the guy or heard the guy that says make your bed in the morning? There's some military guy. Yeah, it's like having something done. Regardless of the next 23 hours going to go, you've accomplished something for the day.
Yes, absolutely.
You get that same feeling?
Absolutely, I do. And then one thing that I did too is I cleansed my closet. So I have to send you a picture of my before and after.
Did you? So you did what do they call that? There's a name for it. They call it like what you got rid of everything. You decluttered, like decluttered.
Yes. Yes. Because I can't fit anything in my closet anymore.
Mm.
Anything. And so actually, these clothes I have on right now, this shirt is so big, but you can only see the top part.
Okay.
But
That's
since I don't
good.
have anywhere to go, I can still put it on, but
Right.
kind of.
So tell me, what other type of lessons did you learn working at your mom's business that you were able to carry over that maybe some other entrepreneurs could gather?
How to really effectively manage people.
Oh, that's a
And
good one.
and I think you may have touched on this earlier, but you have to monitor your relationships with people, right? So you kind of have to keep it at a distance, especially if you're leading them, where it's not to cross that line into being a personal friend, because then that can be misconstrued as, oh, you're promoting her or him over me because you're friends with that person, right? So I like to keep a little bit of separation there. There's a term for that in the military. You can't fraternize, right? But still allowing our employees to be family, part of the family. We allow some of them to help in the decision making, whether it's something big for the company, not necessarily policy and procedures, but if we're going to, have an event or whatever, we ask our employees to play a role in that. But definitely that. And I watch my mom a lot in a lot of her meetings, and just how she carries herself, how she interacts with her employees. It's just, it kind of helped me in a sense grow up. I mean, I'm grown, of course, but it's the way that you carry yourself, right? So you're not, go ahead, what were you going to say?
Would you consider your mom stern?
Yes, she can be. She can be. She definitely can be.
Okay. Uh, how do you balance that? I've had a couple encounters with women that are newly starting their businesses, and they struggle with being stern,
Mm-hmm.
not only with their employees, but with contractors,
Mm-hmm.
right? Other people that they engage in business.
You have to. At some point, you have to put your
What,
foot down.
what do you tell them? How do you tell them? Again, how do you balance between offending someone, I guess, or I don't get. I don't have that feeling, so I don't know what the feeling is. But I know that that's a challenge that I've asked people. And again, like for example, firing someone is a difficult thing to do.
I remember the first time I had to do that. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it. No, because maybe that may help them make that connection.
Yes, it actually hurt my heart to do that when I fired the first person, and this was when I was working for my mom's company.
Oh, okay.
And she was actually on travel, and the customer was not happy with the support that she was receiving, so I had to let her go at the end of the day. And I had to hold back tears because I was feeling the impact on her life, meaning her her income, her family, her children. That just really hurt my heart. But if we've built up to this point where I've met with you on several occasions about your performance and you haven't improved, then we have to part ways, because not only are you affecting your work ethic, but you're affecting the company, you're affecting our brand, right? We want to be a trusted partner for the government, and we want to provide excellent solutions, outcomes, whatever it may be, or deliverables. And if you're messing that up, you're messing all of us up. So we have to part ways. And just here recently, we had to let someone go during COVID-19. I mean, you hate to do it,
Oh,
but
that's tough.
he was a newly hired employee, but he was late on the first day. Then he was late a couple of days, and then he called out sick, but didn't tell nobody he was calling out sick. I'm like, hello, we're all adults here. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? But it got to the point where I was just like, look, we can't. We have to let you go, because like I said, number one, you're not that positive employee that we're looking for, but you're also not meeting our customers' needs and you're making us look bad. So we have to let you go.
Now, in the beginning, we talked about your process for interviewing people. What did you think that you missed?
With him, what did we miss?
Right? These are good conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did miss the mark on that one, and we don't always get it right. We probably should have done a more of a deep dive into why he left his previous company, although his references checked out fine. But
Okay.
what really happened? And a lot of times the companies won't tell you because
No,
they
that's
were
true.
trying to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe we should have asked some more poignant questions in reference to that. So yeah, but sometimes for me, I can tell in 5 minutes whether I want you on my team or not. So
What are you looking for?
it's your character. It's your character.
Okay.
How do you carry yourself? I mean, and your passion, because if you have a passion for giving back or community service, then that's one of my passions.
Right.
So that's key. But also, do you have the working knowledge to do the job? Right. So
Absolute must.
those are some of the things that I look for.
You were going to say something about that person. You said, but someone else picked him.
I should have known when, so I don't ask particular questions. People tend to tell me stuff,
right. Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And so when he told me a few things, I did go a little like, okay. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt because he had the experience to do the job. Right.
Okay. Right.
But, yeah. And he was in Denver. So I actually I've seen him on Zoom.
Right. Never met with him. Oh, that makes it easy to fire. You don't have to go into the office and tap them on the shoulder and take their key card. I know, I'm silly. That's why I like this. This is fun. That's why I like my own platform, because I can be the way I want to be. I don't have to conform to no one. Maria says, all you did was laugh on that podcast. And I'm like, yeah, because I had a good time. What's wrong with that? Let me ask you, what made you get ISO certified? By the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
Something that I typically see with companies that do manufacturing and provide parts and components to government facilities, but why would a company that focuses on acquisition training do ISO?
Right. So it's actually required in a lot of the RFPs, right? Especially if you're doing information technology support for the government. So
for the IT support.
It was definitely one that we needed to get. And now we're going to focus on CMMI. So that's like the next level after ISO. But we also have to work on certifications for us to do business with Department of Defense. So there are certain requirements that need to be done. And so those are our next focus areas that we're going to get certified in. And this was the opportune time to do it while we're all at home as well.
Right.
So, but it's a great certification. And it actually keeps us on track as far as, documenting all of our policies and procedures, managing risk, keeping track of corrective action items. So if, something happens, we need to have our lessons learned and how are we going to correct the issue. But it keeps us focused and organized.
When you talked earlier about marketing your company, what types of things did you do to market your company?
Oh, I found a millennial.
Did you?
That knew the social media platforms.
So, I was kind of on point. You didn't even say nothing to me. I was kind of on point. You didn't even give me no credit, nothing.
You're on point, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
So, yes, and I actually was going to touch on that too, because in addition to that, we are hiring 3 summer youth employment. We're doing the summer youth employment program for DC government. So we're bringing on interns this summer to help with HR, one to be my executive assistant, and the other one to help with contracts management. So we're bringing on all these youth. But so as far as marketing, I found
those are still open, those 3 positions?
Well, we pretty much closed them today.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, but we're doing it through the summer youth program.
Okay.
but like I said, I hired a young millennial, and she knew all of the platforms. And let me tell you, I'm only good at Facebook. I'm really only good at that because I understand it.
Right, right.
So Instagram, I get on Instagram, I'm there. I'm going live tonight, but I don't really understand it,
Right,
right?
right.
All
right.
that it can do.
Sure.
And so I actually am attending all these different events. I'll write up a little blurb or I'll take pictures and then I'll send it to her to post everywhere, and then when we're doing different marketing campaigns, she brings me all these ideas and we just kind of run with it. So yeah, she's really good. Really good.
Nice. Nice. Congratulations. That's good.
Thank you. But
That's
that was
good.
one of my key takeaways from Goldman Sachs. So
Was it?
it was, and it separated JLAN from my mom's company, right? So when Maria found me, she found me as JLAN Solutions, right? So
Yes.
in our world, in the building that we sit in, there's so many government contractors in there. So when they see me, they see my mom's company, right? So I had to actually acquire office space somewhere else and actually sit somewhere else. So they know I'm still not, I mean, she's still my mom, right?
Right.
But I have my own company now. I can stand on my own 2 feet now.
I like it. I like it. Tell us about you said you're going live tonight. What's that about?
Right. So my mom's always had this vision of doing something while not only that we're in COVID, but just doing something different, right? I mean, we do have a lot of investments that we do as well outside of work, but she wanted to do something on the social media platform. And then one day I was watching Sybil Wilkes and the top things you need to know. Sybil Wilkes from the Tom Joyner Morning Show.
Okay.
And she's bringing on all these famous people and talking about what's happening. I said, well, Ma, we're a mother and daughter. We're Black females. We're in business and we've been successful. Why not share what we've learned to help other young people who want to start a business? And so she came up with the concept of how to start, grow, and maintain your business as a mother and daughter or as family. And so we put it together and we're just going to go do it. We're just going to have a conversation, like we're having right now. We're just going to have a conversation about how we managed to get to where we are right now. So, and we'll do it on Mondays, Business Mondays.
Okay. What time?
5 p.m. on Instagram Live.
What's your IG handle?
So actually, so she and I decided to do this outside of our marketing people.
Okay.
Right. So it's on our personal Instagram. So mine is at Ronnette Meyers.
Spell
and hers is at Jan Adams 08.
Spell yours. Spell it.
RONNETTE Myers MEYERS.
Okay. And your mom's?
Hers is Jan JAN Adams 08. Those are our Instagram handles. But
Okay.
next week we may switch to our professional ones depending on how this plays out since it's our first one.
This is your first one?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay. Maybe I'm gonna chime in. I'm gonna follow it. And then on Instagram, you could bring in other people to talk.
We can, but so the first one will be just the 2 of us.
No, but I mean, like when people are watching you, there's a way to have them speak also.
Oh.
So you can actually like switch over to because when the audience is watching, you can choose a person from the audience to show their camera and face to ask a question.
Well, you can request to go live with them, right?
Right.
But you can only have 2 people on there, I think, at the same time.
Right.
So in order to do the third person, which we've already investigated, we're going to have a third-party app to bring in that third person. So we're going to start doing that the following.
Okay. All right. I didn't know because I could go in and ask you some questions and then we'll go on.
Feel free, because we really want people to ask questions because that will guide the topic of discussion.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Thank you.
I'll check it out. That's great. No, I think that's wonderful. You said you guys have some investments outside of work.
We do, we do. So we invest in plays, Broadway plays. We invest in hotels
Hmm.
and condos.
Broadway
So,
plays. I've never
mhm,
heard of that. How does
mhm.
that work?
Well, somebody will reach out to you and say, hey, we have an idea. We want to put this play together and we need investors. And you'll be one of the producers of the show. And so we've done a couple of shows already that have been very successful. And yeah, and so we're in that market. So my mom, it really stems from her, and I'm just a silent underneath her, but she used to be a singer back in her day. And so she also sang with the Air Force and traveled with the Air Force as a singer as
Nice.
well. And Johnny Nash, I think is, no, Johnny Nash, I think is his name. He's an old R&B singer. So he asked her to go out on the road with him and his group when we were little, but she had little children, so she didn't do it. But when she joined the military, she sang. So my mom has a soft spot for the arts. So she's on the board at Arena Stage here in DC. And so she does a lot of Broadway plays. And so that's how we got into it.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
Yeah. It's
You
all
got,
about that generational wealth.
you're doing it. You're doing it. I love it. I love it. You said condos, Broadway shows, and what was the other thing?
Hotels,
Hotels. Tell me about the hotels.
Marriott hotels. You can be an investor in Marriott hotels. So, well, you can be a part owner of a Marriott
Okay.
hotel, the independent ones. So yeah, so we've invested in one in Maryland. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Actually, I have a friend that owns Marriott Hotel, and he owns four others in that suite of Marriott suites. I think it's
Right.
Homewood and some other ones that are in that family um, up in Middletown, Rhode Island.
So we have a small group, and our group, we're all part owners. So
Right.
there's plenty of them, but yes. Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
You got, I like it. That's just, I like it. That's why I believe that you're doing the right thing. Because there are, imagine, right? Someone coming to you that has a tech product that's patented, that's insulated, that just needs someone to sit on their board to help take it into the government space. You don't even have to actually put up the money. You could just be a board member, contribute your expertise, your knowledge, your experience to the table to help them get up and running.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know people have done that with Twitter and with Facebook and Uber and Snapchat and even Instagram, and it's been very lucrative for them.
Nice.
So this is great. Now tell me, are there any other like daily habits or routines that you have that's allowed you to be able to have continue this success for the last 10 years? Wake up early, yoga, you take cat naps in the daytime, stay up late. Are you okay? Let's start there. Are you an early morning person or a late person?
Early morning.
Okay. All right.
Early morning. But my routine is I work out. I mean, I told you I can't, it's in my system. I can't stop. My husband was on the phone one day and they said, well, where's Ronnette? He said, I don't know. She's in the house somewhere working out somewhere.
Okay.
So he bought me an exercise bike because I like to do spin class too. So he bought me a bike for my birthday. So
But that's recent. That's recent.
mhm.
Before that.
Before that, I really didn't have a life. So I just go to work and I work all hours of the night and I attend every event. So if it's an evening black tie affair, we have season tickets for the Washington Redskins, the Washington Wizards. I was at every game, and a lot of times at the Redskins games, I'm not necessarily watching the game. I'm going suite to suite, meeting people, building relationships, finding teaming opportunities that we can go after to grow the company. So the majority of the time, that's what I do during the football games. But we do have a lot of former Redskins who will come in and sit in our suite, and so we have to entertain them as well. But even at the basketball games, although I'm watching the game because I love basketball, I'm still talking to whomever is sitting next to me. And I have to tell you this one little story. So as I stated, I want to open up this youth center in Youngstown, Ohio. I really want 4 of them, but one on each side of town. But my goal is to start with 1. So I'm sitting at the game, watching the game, courtside, and there's a lady sitting next to me, and she has on the cutest shoes. I was like, oh my God, your shoes are so cute. And she's like, oh, thank you. I bought them down in Georgetown. And I was like, oh, okay. So we started talking about shoes. And then she asked me what I did, and I told her. And then I said what my passion was. And I told her just random
Right.
conversation. And so she's like, oh, well, we're doing something in Youngstown, Ohio. And I was like, oh, you are? I was like, why are you doing something in Youngstown, Ohio?
Yeah.
Like, who are you?
Right. Who are you? That's very strange coincidence.
And she's like, well, do you know Arnie Duncan? He's sitting right there. And I was like, I know who he is, but I don't know him. And she's like, oh, well, he was the former Secretary of Education. And I'm like, who are you again? Her name is Stacy, right? And so I'm like, okay, Stacy. So I didn't even know what her last name was. And so she says, well, here, I want you to call my friend Beth. I'm going to send her an email and have her reach out to you to talk about what you want to do in Youngstown, because this is what we're doing. They're bringing some students from San Francisco to work in the high schools to help students with technology. And so I said, okay. And so by the time I got home, I had an email from Beth, and I was like, who are these people?
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, and I just lost the name of the organization, but it'll come back to me. And so I started Googling, and it's like, who are these people? It was Lauren Jobs' organization, her nonprofit organization, but it wasn't, but she's on her board. I was like, what?
Wow. Get out of here.
So come to find out, she has the 4 seats next to me because Lauren Jobs bought into the Washington Wizards, Monumental Sports. Who knew?
She had 4 seats next to you. That's
Who
awesome.
knew?
Wow, that's amazing.
But then alongside of them is Dr. Michael Eric Dyson.
Okay.
He sits on our row as well, too. So it's a lot of
You got a good row. That's a good row there.
And JJ Smith sits to the left of us. She wrote the book, The 10-Day Green Smoothie Cleanse.
I haven't heard of it.
Okay, so she sits to the left of us. So quite an interesting row that we sit on.
Oh, nice. I like it. I like it.
So that's my little story.
I like that. No, I think that's a great story. That little story, that's a big story.
Right. And then a couple weeks later, Lauren was sitting 2 seats over from me. And I'm just like,
you changed the way you talked to her and looked at her, right? Now it changed a little bit.
It's like, wait a minute.
You're like, I was just looking at your shoes.
Right?
That is so funny. I like that. I love it.
Yes, that's my story.
But no, I like it. Because again, when you were just looking at the shoes, and it was, I mean, she was just a regular person.
Exactly. So you never know who or where or when that opportunity is going to come, and always just be yourself and be honest and just say your truth, and you never know what's going to happen with that. But all that to say is before I started this weight loss journey, that's all I did. I just went to work and went to these different events, got to know a lot of people, build a lot of relationships. I held a lot of fundraisers for politicians in the District of Columbia, but also joining the DC Chamber, where I got to meet so many more people. But it put me inside the door of different politicians, inside the door of different business owners. Whereas, I'm a respected entity now here in DC, which is great. But it just, it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff.
You mentioned when you just said your respected entity, it's interesting. I was in DC last year, and I was attending the HubZone Council. And some of my students, they had an event I went to. What was really interesting is I had a meet and greet, and probably 75 people showed up. And I said, wait a second, DC has all the government contracts in the world. Why are you guys, why do these people still lost? Why do they still not understand this marketplace? What do you think what do you think is happening?
There are a lot that do understand it, but there are a lot that don't, because I think they're afraid to step forward and actually have those conversations with some of the, I would say, politicians here or some of the larger businesses here. There are a lot of people who are afraid. And I think I was probably one of them. Early on, I was under the shadow of my mom, so I can, speak from there. But then when it was time for me to come out on my own and actually speak for myself, I was a little afraid.
Yeah, very different, right?
It is very different, right? So, but I had to build that confidence and believe in what I'm doing and trust in what I'm doing is a good thing, or, and I produce a great product, but I had to really believe in myself in order to go to that next level. And I found my voice, and now I use it. I speak at different events. I do a lot in the community, so that's just who I am. But you have to find your voice. You have to, get to that next step.
Are you an introvert or extrovert?
I'm an extrovert.
Extrovert, I'm sorry.
I'm an extrovert. I always have been.
Okay. But are you stern like your mom?
Am I what?
Stern.
No, not as stern as her, but I have my moments. Now my kids might tell you differently. So
Oh, the kids are always going to say that, the kids are always going to say that.
yes. But another thing that I wanted to share with you is probably in 2016, 17, 18, when I was really out going to these different events in different states, flying all over the place. My youngest daughter said to me, she's 15 now. She says, "Mommy, can you please stay home? I just need you to stay home. I need my mom." And it made me really think about, what's important. Is it really growing the business? Is it really maintaining my family? What is it, right? And you want it all, but you have to really focus and shift, right? So family is always number one, because they're going to be there whether the business is there or not, right?
Absolutely.
So family first, and then focus on the business. So I did a shift, and that's kind of around when I had to hire my COO to come run those day-to-day operations. She can go and do X, Y, and Z, or we can send another manager to do this, or attend these small business industry days, or whatever it may be. But I allowed myself to stay at home more. And even my husband, he sometimes would say, "Hey, remember me? I'm still here." And I'm like, yes, shift your focus, right?
Right.
Shift your focus. So, and we've been doing okay thus far. So
I think that's important. I had another guest that said the same thing. He said, "Eric, out of all the podcasts, people don't ask about your family life."
Right.
And that's why I was very interested in your weight loss journey and what you were doing. Because I think that's important to people. There's a lot of people struggling right now with weight.
Oh, absolutely.
And go ahead. You can.
No, I was just going to say, and I put a lot of my journey on Facebook, and so many people are following my journey, and so many people have joined who work out with me now. They're just like, I just want to do what you're doing so that they can become healthy as well. So it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
No, it is. And in particular in communities of color.
Yes.
Right. Diabetes, heart disease. Both of my parents had bypass surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, we already have a lot of the symptoms, the causes, and we don't help ourselves, right, by being obese or overweight. And it's tough. It's tough for anyone. I wouldn't say that it's tough for anyone. But that's why I want to talk about that.
No, it's great. It's great. If I can bring any awareness to anyone or help them through their journey, if I feel so much better, I feel so much more healthier and lighter, but it just feels good.
Do you feel more confident?
I do.
Yeah.
I truly do. I truly do. I think it was a big help. So, and a lot of times people, when they see me and they haven't seen me in a long time, they're like, oh my gosh, you've lost so much weight. I'm like, these hips are still here. They won't go anywhere. They won't go
That's so funny. I love it. She's like, these hips are still here. They're not going nowhere.
They won't go anywhere.
Say, doctor, what do I do about this?
Exactly.
What are your doctors saying now?
Like, that's hereditary. I
Right.
don't know if it's gonna go anywhere. But no, my doctor's great. She's been wonderful. So as long as I'm, staying healthy and not going to the extreme, like I'm not anorexic or anything like that.
I'm gonna ask you something, and then we'll wrap up. What do you think? Are you afraid of giving your kids too much?
Oh,
Because I've seen and I've witnessed, right, other families where, like I said, they were building generational wealth, but then when they, the kids, again, overcompensating for what you lacked, didn't have, right, gave them all the stuff, and then I won't say it just, again, I don't think any of us have 4 generations of wealth, right? Or 3 generations. Or I don't think we have 1 generation. So everything is new money, new beginnings. And, but I've seen already people who've gone through that phase, right? Where they were the first generations to build something up.
mm-hmm.
The kids grew up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you got courtside tickets, you're sitting in suites, box seats. That's not normal things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've had dinners that are really expensive before, right? And, are you afraid of what that's going to do to them? Or is there somewhere you're balancing that? Do you think about that at all? Do you guys talk about that? Like let's say other women because again, you're in this area where there's a bunch of other professional women, similar age, has similar age kids, right? We talk about the millennials, but then you got this new generation and we're saying these kids. So again, you talked about Fortnite and Minecraft and all this stuff. What do you think about that?
So it's definitely something to talk about. My first 3 children are grounded. They work for whatever they have, right? So my son actually owns a business as well. He's a shooting coach. He has a company called J-Work, and he's also a basketball coach. So he's a trainer. So he travels around and teaches students how to play basketball.
Right.
He played too. My middle daughter is just graduated with her master's degree, and she is actually working for me right now because she was laid off due to COVID-19. Okay. So she's helping me. And then my middle child, she is all about working, making her own money, doing her own thing. Great. Which is fine. Excellent. The youngest child, help us. She's spoiled. Right. She is. But I make sure that she continues to do her duties around the house, the dishes, the bathrooms, whatever, cleaning the house. And I'm trying to get her into a summer youth employment program as well. Okay. She really does not want to work. She likes to call mommy, daddy, grandma. I need. Oh,
I forgot about grandma. Oh, she got a nice grandma too. I forgot about grandma. She got a nice grandma too.
So that's going to be our challenge right there. That's going to be my challenge. And, I try to keep her grounded as far as, maintaining her house duties and stuff like that. But I'm trying to get her to get a job so that she can see the value of $1. Spend her own money. So she's been braiding my hair. I said, can you go on YouTube University and learn how to braid my hair? Because, I can't get my hair done during COVID, right? So I've been having my hair in braids. So I just took it out here recently. But I pay her with a gift card. And so she likes to do hair and makeup. Like, she's an artist and she loves to draw. Art is her thing. Visual arts is her thing. Okay. So So whenever she wants to buy anything, she has to use her gift card to purchase whatever she wants. I'm not buying it anymore. So you have to figure out how to save your money
Okay.
and buy what you want to buy. But these are baby steps.
Yes.
These are baby steps. So I really need to probably talk to some other
Get some ideas.
Get some ideas. Yes.
Yeah. Any books or anything that we talked about Goldman Sachs? Any books that you would recommend for people out there? Anything else? Any other resource, app maybe it's helped you?
Well, I will talk about some resources. So I started a book, but I have yet to finish a lot of them. Right.
Okay.
So I read a lot of Govcon books, but I would say if you're in this space, even if you're not in this space, utilize your free resources, meaning like your Professional Technical Assistance Center, PTACs. They're in every state. And use SCORE.
Mm-hmm.
SCORE is a free service that's funded by SBA, and SBA, Small Business Administration, utilize their services as well too, because a lot of it's free.
No, and I love them and I recommend them all the time. But I really do believe that being in DC, you guys get the cream of the crop.
Oh, absolutely.
Because once we get outside of DC, some of them,
exactly,
it's not the same. It's very different. Yeah.
And I've also I'm involved in some minority business roundtables as well. So that helps me in a lot of areas too. You can bounce ideas off of them, but we also look at our opportunities where we can all team together and go after a larger opportunity as small minority-owned businesses. Yes.
What you talked about that before? You were looking for teaming partners. What type of skill sets or what type of experiences are you looking for? Any in particular?
So for me, I really want to expand our IT offerings, our IT services. So we look at companies who have all their certifications, but also are in the DoD space, because we really want to expand into Department of Defense, because what the government shutdown taught me was the federal civilian agencies can run out of money or their money will stop, whereas DoD does not. So we are really trying to partner with companies that do business with DoD, but also have a facility clearance. And that's one thing that we don't have. So we're trying to obtain our facility clearance this year.
Okay.
And partner with companies that have that clearance, but also more IT capabilities. So we're doing a lot of Power BI. We're doing healthcare IT right now, help desk support, but we really want to expand, because outside of research and development, the revenue dollars are in information technology, right? So, and we're also providing training across the United States for the acquisition professions for the Federal Aviation Administration. So we teach the FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulations. We teach AMS, which is the Acquisition Management System. So not all agencies fall under the FAR. Some have their own acquisition systems. We teach engineering courses. We partner with Georgia Tech. We teach courses through them as well, accredited courses for the acquisition professions and for air traffic controllers. And then in the realm of acquisition and business, we actually do full lifecycle acquisition support. So we're doing the pre-award, post-award, contract closeout, that type of stuff, and keeping the budget for different agencies as well. So those are like our three verticals that we play in, but definitely trying to expand our IT capabilities.
Nice. All right, we're going to let you go. We're approaching the 90-minute mark.
We've been having a great conversation.
I'm telling you, man, people say, Eric, I try to reach these small businesses, I can't reach them. And I said, call DC, because every time I call someone in DC, man, these people are wonderful. I don't know what it is. Maybe because, they've been successful. I don't know, but I really do enjoy these conversations with people. I'm happy I picked this profession.
I'm happy you are too.
I'm serious. And you know what? You're gonna again, the same conversation. Someone else listening to this can learn a lot from. And imagine when you got started, if you had something like that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it. If you had a platform to have conversations with people that you looked up into, that you admire and you respected. And and the other thing that I like to say is this: where I've been in situations where I was up and the other person was down. But then I've been in situations where they were up and I was down. And so then they had to pull me up.
Yes.
So we never know, right, who has to be that next person to pull you up, right?
Absolutely.
And I think this is a great way of giving back, and I really appreciate the time that you spent with us today. You want to say some closeout words for the people before we let you go?
Before we go, I do have a question, though. What part of Florida are you in?
I'm near Miami.
Okay.
I lived in Miami my whole life, but I moved outside of the city. So I'm about an hour outside of there now, just west of Palm Beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
I try to come down to Tampa at least once a year. Actually, one of my granddaughters lives in Tampa.
Oh, I'm not far. I'm about 3.5 hours from there.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Well,
but I'll probably be in DC before you come to Tampa.
Okay. Okay.
I'll probably be in DC way before you come to Tampa.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, I look forward to meeting you in person. But this has actually been great. I really appreciate you all reaching out to me and just wanting to hear my story. And I do hope that I can help someone who's on the ledge of, do I start a business? Do I not start a business? How will I be successful? We come from a poor background. Like I said, my mom was a single parent. Before she joined the military, we lived in the projects. We were on welfare. We received food stamps. So the military really helped her grow as a person, as an individual, and helped us as well growing up overseas to see something outside of the United States and to open up our eyes to other cultures, other people. So, and I know our time is up, but
we can keep going.
What's happening in the United States right now with, all the systemic racism and all of that, I missed a lot of that. I missed what was happening while I was growing up overseas. It wasn't until I came back to the United States that I started learning about what was really happening in this world. So, and even today I'm learning about some of the stuff that's happening. But at any rate, thank you. And thank you for just, promoting us, promoting women, promoting people of color, promoting all of us. So thank you for what you do. We really appreciate it.
Well, no, thank you so much for coming on today. That's been great. I had a lot of fun. I like starting my Monday off like this, right?
Yes.
Isn't it a great way to start your Monday?
Yes.
You're working,
yes.
but it doesn't feel like work.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's, I almost feel like an athlete where you get to, play your sport, right, at the highest levels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then at the same time, it serves a purpose, a greater purpose outside of yourself. And you also get rewarded for it. So
absolutely.
This is great. I really do. I enjoy it. So thank you so much again for coming on. A great talk, great way to start our Monday.
Thank you. I enjoyed it as well.
Hey, Govcon Giants family, thanks for tuning in today. I know the last few months we've seen nothing but turmoil between the global pandemic, the financial crisis, and now international protests regarding Black Lives Matter and George Floyd's murder. I like to say that we've got so many things to be thankful for, and I do like to look at the cup as half full, counting my blessings with each passing day. A once wise man told me that, son, you woke up above the ground today, so you're doing better than most. Be grateful, stay humble, use your privilege for good. If we do not come together as Americans, we will lose our foothold at the hands of more unified nations. We simply cannot do it as only one single group of people. If we continue to cast a shadow over folks because of the color of their skin, we are not going to get the best ideas to come forward and rise to the top. And over time, all of our inventions will come from a narrow segment of the population, and I believe that this will become our greatest threat to the nation's freedom. I know it's hard for some of those to see out there today because they are in such a position of superiority, but once things change hands, they will not care where the best ideas and solutions come from to counter terrorism, foreign threats, and solving the world's challenges. Thanks for tuning in. This has been a fun episode to make. Looking forward to talking with all of you guys about deeper conversation, and also, as always, the show notes and all the information we discussed in today's episode will be available on our website, govcongiants.com/podcast.